everyone, we are from Group 1 and our members are Komang Laksmi Mas Nararya Riris, Kadek Rauh suardana, Ayu Devi Pujayani, Hendra Efendi, Ari Arthawati, and Luh Indira Mahadewi. Now we will tell you about denotation, connotation, and imagery in a poetry.
Denotation. What we will discuss: first, what is denotation? Second, the examples of denotation and denotation analysis in poetry. What is denotation? Denotation is the pure meaning of a particular word without being influenced by someone's feeling or experience. In other words, denotation presents literary meaning based on a dictionary. It can be concluded that denotation is an element that explains the pure meaning of a word that cannot be changed. Satyani 2020 states, the meaning of denotation is the same as the meaning of the dictionary, which means it refers to something that can be known by the general public clearly. Zuhdah and Alfa in 2020 state a word that only has no more than one original meaning of the word is called denotation. The examples of denotation. The word pink in denotation means color, in connotation means love feeling. The sentence, Sinta goes to Matahari store to buy a pink dress. It is categorized as denotative meaning that states pink is a color that describes the dress that Sinta wants to buy. Next, I can feel my life filled with pink after my crush says that he loves me. It is categorized as connotative meaning that states pink as love, not a color. Pink in connotation can be interpreted by paying attention to the feeling of the subject. Next, the word lion in denotation means an animal, in connotation means fierce. The sentences are, Nanda goes to Bali Zoo to take picture of a lion. It is categorized as denotation because it has a pure meaning. It states that Nanda wants to take pictures of lions at Bali Zoo, so he goes there. Nanda is a lion in his house. This one is categorized as a connotation, which means that Nanda is a very fierce person at his house.
Now we will talk about connotation. Connotation is a word that has another meaning, additional meaning, or value that is contained in a word. In other words, connotation is a word that has a different meaning from its true meaning. The connotation of a word is not directly delivered, but implicit. In poetry, connotation has a role in enriching the meaning of the poem. This makes the connotation often referred as the lifeblood of poetry. They are able to describe something and create strong feelings that are poured into poetry. Besides, the connotation makes poetry readers have to think deeper to find the meaning contained in the poem. Connotations can also be created using various figures of speech, such as personification, metaphor, simile, symbolism, hyperbole, etc.
There are three types of connotation. The first one is positive connotation. Positive connotation is words that can evoke reaction which are make humans feel good. For example, describing ambitious person as a go-getter. Second one is negative connotation. Negative connotation is words that can lead unfavorable view of something. For example, describing ambitious person as a childish. And the last one is neutral connotation. Neutral connotation is words that give by neutral point of view. For example, when we describing ambitious person as a person who work hard. In this case, people do not give a judgment whether the ambitious is good or not.
And the next material is about imagery. So the question is, what is imagery? So let's take a look on definition. According to Barry, in his article, imagery gives the readers to be experiencing the sense of sight, smell, hearing, and touch in the poetry. Another definition also stated by Rahmawati in her article that said, imagery is the author's way to combine words in order to create something that rises the reader's senses. So, the types of imagery. There are 5 types of imagery. The first one, visual imagery or sense of sight. In other words, these types of imagery gives the readers a vivid picture about the condition or any visualization about what the writers want to show. The next one, auditory imagery or sense of hearing. In other words, auditory imagery give the readers chance to feel or to hear what the writers want to share in a poetry. The next one, olfactory imagery or sense of smell. In these types of imagery, the readers will imagine something that could be smelled by the readers, for example, food or something. The next one, gustatory imagery or sense of taste. It's quite similar with olfactory imagery, where the readers will imagine of tasting something based on the information that the writers give. The next one is tactile imagery or sense of touch. In this case, in these types of imagery, we will imagine of touching something like books, surface of something that explained in a poetry.
Now let's discuss the poetry analysis.
Richard Cory by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from sole to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim. And he was always quietly arrayed, and he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said good morning, and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and immeasurably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought that he was everything, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat and cursed the bread. And Richard Cory, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head.
On the first line and the second line, whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement look at him. Town means the central area where the population lives. Pavement means the curb. On the third line, he was a gentleman from sole to crown. Crown means a headdress for a king or queen. On the eighth line, good morning, and he glittered when he walked. Glitter means shiny. On the 10th line, and admirably schooled in every grace. Grace means authoritative. On the 13th line, soon we work and wait for the light. Light means something that looks very bright. On the 14th line, and went without the meat and cursed the bread. Meat means flesh of an animal and bread means flour-based food. On the 15th line, and Richard Cory, one calm summer night. Summer means the season. On the 16th line, went home and put a bullet through his head. Home means a place to live, and bullet means metal project.
In this first stanza, the writer places Richard Cory in downtown. It doesn't mean Richard lives in downtown. Downtown here connotes with a high level of financial status. Pavement has literal meaning the footpath on the side of the road. It connotes with the low level of financial status. On the third and fourth line, there are two words that connotes with royalty. There are crown and imperially. Those words refer to an empire. So, we people in this poem is the one who speaks the poem to us. They are putting themselves very low compared with Richard Cory and admire it. They also tell us that Richard Cory is someone who is admired by people in the town. In the second stanza, the phrase fluttered pulses connotes with excitement. The word glittered connotes with regal and grace. So, the meaning of this stanza is the people in the town are astonished, fascinated, and very excited by just hearing Richard Cory says good morning to them. The poet also uses the word human to tell the people that Richard Cory is not beyond of them. He is one of them. Even though they know Richard Cory is one of them, people never look at that way. The people see the big difference between themselves and Richard. They see that Richard Cory is an imperial while they are in the pavement. In this stanza, place connotes with a level of financial status. So, this stanza tells us that Richard Cory is a person who is very rich and educated. The townspeople are supposed to be jealous with Richard Cory because he has everything. The people also want to be in that level of financial status. In this last stanza, there are words worked, waited for the light, the meat and the bread. Those words connote with financial difficulty of a country, an economic collapse that makes people have to eat old bread and struggle. It shows us that the people who are poor have to face those things in daily life. Then there are two last lines that show us the dark side of Richard Cory. Richard Cory killed himself on one calm summer night by shooting his head with a gun. The people just know that Richard Cory is very rich. They know he never had a problem in his life. They never know what Richard Cory has faced in his life until makes him kill himself with a gun on one calm summer night.
The poetry by Edwin Arlington Robinson is rich of the uses of imagery. Let's take a look. The first imagery that we can see here is a visual imagery in which we are provided with the visualizations of Richard Cory. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim, and he was always quietly arrayed. Here, Richard Cory is described as a good-looking man in a nice outfit with a slim posture, which carried grace and regality about his person, for the word imperially. This is the reason why he became the focus attentions of the town people, for the previous line which says, "Look at him." We can also find the use of auditory and tactile imagery in these lines. And he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. We can imagine as if we hear how Richard Cory talked to others, that he had never lowered others with his speech, despite his charm and status. Besides, we can experience the feeling of the speakers that fluttered when Richard Cory greeted them. He is also described as a friendly person as he greeted others with pleasure. Next, we can see the uses of gustatory imagery here, and when without the meat and cursed the bread. This line makes the readers feel the hard life of the speakers to make living compared to Richard Cory's life, in which Richard Cory had a wealthy life without a big effort, while the town people struggled to make a living for even having their meals. From this line, we know how it feels for just having a small and simple meal every day. Last, we can see the uses of visual and tactile imagery in this poetry. And Richard Cory one calm summer night went home and put a bullet through his head. We can feel the atmosphere of the summer night that was calm, but we can feel that Richard Cory here was depressed, which led him for shooting his head to end his life.
There is no frigate like a book, by Emily Dickinson. There is no frigate like a book to take us lands away, nor any courses like a page of prancing poetry. This traverse may the poorest take without the press of toil. How frugal is the chariot that bears the human soul.
The analysis of denotation in There is no frigate like a book. On the first line, there is no frigate like a book. Frigate means warship, and book means sheets of paper containing writing. On the third and fourth line, nor any coursers like a page of prancing poetry. Coursers means horses. On the seventh line, how frugal is the chariot? Chariot means 2 or 4 wheeled vehicle that pulled by a horse. Next, in the Richard Cory. On the first line and the second line, whenever Richard Cory went downtown, we people on the pavement look at him. Town means the central area where the population lives. Pavement means the curb. On the third line, he was a gentleman from soul to crown. Crown means a headdress for a king or queen. On the eighth line, good morning, and he glittered when he walked. Glitter means shiny. On the 10th line, and admirably schooled in every grace. Grace means authoritative. On the 13th line, soon we work and wait for the light. Light means something that looks very bright. On the 14th line, and when without the meat, and curse the bread. Meat means flesh of an animal and bread means flour-based food. On the 15th line, and Richard Cory, one calm summer night. Summer means the season. On the 16th line, went home and put a bullet through his head. Home means a place to live and bullet means metal project.
Here is the connotation analysis from a poem entitled There is no frigate like a book. In these lines, frigate is used to connote a sense of exploration and adventure. Meanwhile, the word lands is used to connote an intriguing idea of something that is exotic, unique, and unknown. So, Emily Dickinson defines a book as a frigate, a type of warship that can carry a lot of cargo and carry its passenger anywhere. Just like a book, which means a book has a lot of knowledge that we don't know before. Books can take us anywhere, to villages, cities, countries, even outer space with our imagination. Besides, we can also find out about the life experiences of the writers or other people by reading a book while sitting and relaxing. In these lines, courses is used to connote a stronger emphasis of beautiful, elegant, and majestic. So, Emily Dickinson in these lines compares a book with horse speed. Horses can run very fast and prance beautifully. However, a book can give us a lot of knowledge faster just by reading it. By turning the pages of book, we can be in another place faster than riding a horse. We can find something wonderful and beautiful in it. Besides, we can find out the meaning and content of a text through poetry rather than reading novels or other long texts. It is because the poet of poetry expresses his heart directly into the line of the poem. Even though it is very short, poetry has a lot of meaning. By reading a few lines, we can find out the meaning of the whole poem. Whereas in a novel, we have to read the whole pages to find out the meaning contained in it. In these lines, traverse is used to connote or to express a sense of danger and mystery. Here, Oppress is a force which is used to connote a sense of powerlessness or something that can make us down, while toll has literal meaning a charge payable to get permission to use a bridge or road. But in this poem, the poet wants to express that all people have the same opportunity to explore the world simply by reading books. No need to spend any money to find out what the world is about. Besides, we are like running on a free highway without pressure and demands. This is the same as when reading a book. We can freely read anything and gain knowledge faster. In these lines, frugal means economical, while chariot means carriage which always appears in a fairy tale. It is used to connote a sense of fantasy and fairy tale. This chariot is a metaphor that the poet uses to denote a book. So, what the author really means is, with our book that we read, we can go anywhere with our imagination without spending any money. In the last line, the poet also wants to tell the readers that how important the human soul is. The word bears connotes with an idea of carrying something with meaning, while the word soul connotes with a beauty and one's whole self. Here, the poet tells us that a book can make a person know the contents of the world and be able to have knowledge that they can use to face challenges in everyday life.
The poetry entitled There is no frigate like a book contains visual imageries. The first one, there is no frigate like a book. This line provides a visual imagery in which a book can take us to any places like countries, villages, or even our imaginative places. The second one, nor any courses like a page. This line emphasizes that reading a poetry gives more power for us to explore a wider and more distant places through our imagination. And the last one, these travelers made a poor state without oppress of toll. Here we can visualize how people are relaxing without any pressure or any demand in reading a poetry to explore any places through imagination, because we don't need any money for this. Winter by William Shakespeare. When icicles hang by the wall, and Dick the shepherd blows his nail, and Tom bears logs into the hall, and milk comes frozen home in pail. When blood is nipped and waste be foul, then nightly sings the staring owl, wit, to a merry note, while greasy John does kill the pot. When all aloud the wind doth blow, and cawing drones the parson's soul, and birds sits brooding in the snow, and Marian's nose looks red and raw. When roasted scraps hiss in the bowl, then nightly sings the staring owl, wit, to a merry note, while greasy John does kill the pot.
Next, denotation analysis in poetry winter. Line 1 and 2. Icicles mean frozen and cold water droplets. A shepherd is a person who cares for his sheep. Line 3 and 4. Logs mean the stems of round wood. Milk comes frozen means something liquid had frozen because of the cold. Next, line 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Blood means red fluid flows in the veins of living things. Waste be foul means streets that do not seem clean. Owl means an animal that appears when the night comes. Furthermore, line 9 also means an activity that is done by a person named John in winter. Next, line 10 and 11. Whine means a movement of the ear. Coughing means expel air from the lungs with a sharp sound. Next, line 12, 13, and 14. In line 12, birds mean animals, snow means ice crystal. Line 13 does not contain denotative meaning. The nose looks red indicates connotative meaning. Line 14, roasted crabs mean winter food served in bowls. The last line 15, 16, 17, and 18 are the same as line 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Analysis connotation words in Winter poem by William Shakespeare. First, when blood is nipped and waste be full. The underlined words is the connotation. Humans did not nip their own blood. The real meaning of the underlined words is the people's blood felt frozen because of the cold in winter. The second one is to hold a merry note. This point is include an irony. The old sound is scary, but everyone considers that is good. It is because they just can hear the sound when the winter comes. The third is, and coughing drowns the person's soul. This point is kind of metaphor. The word persons is represent the harsh condition in the winter. The sound of cough disturbs the ritual that led by the persons. And the fourth, and Marian's nose looks red and raw. Is also a kind of metaphor. Nose looks red and raw represent people that get influenza or sick during the winter.
Now take a look at the analysis of imagery in this poetry.
So the first one, Winter by William Shakespeare, there are several imagery in it. The first one is visual imagery. The visual imagery is when eagles hang by the wall, and Dick the shepherd blows his nail, and Tom bears log into the hall, and milks come frozen in pail, and Marian's nose looks red and raw. These lines give us a vivid picture about the condition of winter season. We could imagine about water that frozen seemed to be similar with stalagmite. Someone who blows his nail or hand to warm it. Preparation of logs in order to make fire, or even something that immediately frozen when it's outdoors. The next one is auditory imagery. We could find it on a poetry that the night sings the staring owl, to ho, to hit, to ho, a merry note. This line could be an irony, where usually an owl sings quite a scary song, but writers said that it was a beautiful sound. Shakespeare give us a hearing image about how scary is winter at the time by using this irony. And the next one of auditory imagery is and coughing drowns the parson's soul. This line also gives a hearing image about the condition in winter where coughing was happened during winter at that time. The next one is olfactory imagery. When roasted crabs hiss in the bowl. This line gives us a chance to smell and feel about food that's served during winter at the time, which usually a warm soup or warm food. The third one, gustatory imagery. We could find it in a poetry that while greasy John doth kill the pot, when roasted crabs hiss in the bowl. These lines could be a taste image, where we as a readers could imagine the taste of a food during winter, where as a human burned more calories during a cold weather, and almost everything could be delicious due to our hunger.
Meeting at Night by Robert Browning. The grey sea and the long black land, and the yellow half moon, large and loud, and the startled little waves that leap in fairy ringlets from their sleep. A gigantic cove with pushing prow and quench its speed by the slashy sand. Then a mile of a warm sea-scented beach. 3 fields to cross till a farm appears. A tap at the pane, the quick sharp scratch, and blue spurt of a lighted match, and a voice less loud through its joys and fears. Then the 2 hearts beating each to each.
Denotation Analysis in Poetry, Meeting at Night by Robert Browning. Line 1 and 2. Gray means color, sea means a large body of water, long means a considerable distance from the coastline, black means color, land means a place where we stand. Yellow means color, half moon large means the shape of the moon is only a semicircle facing the earth. Low means can be a position or something dim. Next, line 3, 4, 5, and 6. In line 3, little waves that mean a raised water line moves up and down slowly across the sea surface. In line 4, fiery ringlets mean something curly seems bright red like fire. In line 5, cove means a small part of the sea. In line 6, slushy sand means wet particles smaller than gravel. Next, line 7 and 8. A mile of warm sea means a large body of water that is located some distance away in the afternoon because the sea is warm. 3 fields mean 3 open lands filled with plants. Farm means land and building that used for growing animals. Line 9, 10, 11, and 12. Tap means sound of hitting something. Panel means rectangular, flat, or curved components located on surface, roofs, and doors. Scratch means a mark on a surface. Blue means color. Spurt means burst that appear suddenly at high speed. Voice means a sound produced by a person. Joys mean the feeling of happiness. Fears mean the unpleasant feeling of something dangerous. Hearts mean vital organs that are important to support someone's life.
Analysis connotation words in Meeting at Night poem by Robert Browning. The gray sea and the long black land, and the yellow half moon large and low. The gray sea and the long black land informs the reader that the events happen at night. At that night, he got a little bit light from the moon. Second, and the stars lit little waves that leap in fiery ringlets from their sleep. When he started close to the beach, he began to feel the atmosphere of the beach. One of them is the hard beach waves, and the third and blue spurt of a lighted match. In that point, lighted match represents as the symbol of romance and passion.
The next one is Meeting at Night by Robert Browning. So the first analysis is about visual imagery. The gray sea and the long black land, and the yellow half moon large and low. These lines give us a vivid picture about the situation of a beach at night, where the sea looks gray and the land looks black due to its minimum light and because of night. It is similar like what the definition of visual imagery is. The poets or reader try to describing something that the poets see. The next one is auditory imagery. And the star line waves up that leap in ethereal ringlets from their sleep. These lines give the reader chance to hear the sound of waves. Robert Browning used the word jam or personification to give the reader information about how the waves were making sound. And next is olfactory imagery. Then a mile of warm sea-sanded beach. This line gives us as a reader chance to smell and use our sense of smell inside of our mind. The readers can think about how the sea scent like and a warm weather. The last one, tactile imagery. Then the two hearts beating each to each. This line makes us feel our heartbeat by touching our heart, our chest. Robert Browning gives us a vivid picture about how our heart beat when we felt happy or scared based on a poetry.
Well, that's all about our presentation. Thank you so much for watching our video.